Hi everyone, welcome back. It's Moa aka Swedish Whiskey Girl, and today we're here with 3 whiskies from Macduff Distillery. So this is the Deverons. It's the Deveron 12, 16 and 18, and of course this brand used to be known as Deveron and is now known as the Deveron. Usually you can kind of tell that it's them by seeing this kind of frosted green glass that they all have. And the 12 and the 18 are kind of co-arranged that you can find in a lot of different places, and the 16 is a travel exclusive that you tend to find in airports. And I think what kind of makes the 16 stand out a bit is that it has a higher sherry influence. But yeah, we're gonna try them and see what we think, starting with the 12, moving up to the 18. And of course, a massive thank you to Georgie for doing her monthly tastings, so we got to try it. I think this year was actually the 60th birthday of Macduff, who started in 1960. They started building the distillery, and then I think they filled their first casks in June the same year. And these all sit at 40%, and this company is now owned by Deveron. But let's start by having a little look on the 12. Quite appley. Almost reminds me of apple cider. Like, it's definitely orchard fruits. It's almost like a bit like apples and then peaches. A little bit of a heavier floral note as well. And by heavier, it's like a denser, sweet floral note. Not this kind of light springtime, but like maybe a springtime evening when all the aromas kind of, because the humidity usually goes up in the evening, you kind of have a little bit of a denser, sweet floral note in the air. Let's try it, Sláinte Skål. Quite happily on the palate, and a little bit like that dense floral note meets a little bit of hay. Still quite a juicy character, but it does have this malty influence that, yeah, it makes me think of hay. And it's kind of the same, as a whole, the whiskey just makes me think of kind of springtime evenings in a barn when you're close to a garden with lots of different floral sweet notes and maybe some apple trees. And of course, all Macduff is located in Speyside, so it's a Speyside. All of these are Speyside single malts. Yeah, definitely that kind of apple, the denser floral notes, like springtime evenings in a barn. Tells you a little bit of how I grew up in the countryside in Sweden, where you could actually be in a barn on a springtime evening. Let's move on to the 16. So this is the travel exclusive. You can see that it is a little bit darker than the first one. I think it's probably the darkest one out of the 3. So it could be that sherry influence. Let's have a look on the nose. Definitely a thicker sherry note on this one. Like a sherry note is the first thing you can pick out. And like a nutty Oloroso sherry, I'd probably say, or guess at least. Yeah, so kind of richer, darker fruits. More oak and red fruits. And it's like that redder fruits meets kind of golden as well. A little bit of a raisin note. Maybe some cherries. But let's have a taste. Sláinte Skål. The mouthfeel feels a bit thicker. Sherry notes there on the palate, but I do recognise that almost floral hay notes from the 12. And a little bit of the kind of appley notes coming through as well, which also makes me think of it as a little bit springtimey. But I think the sherry influence could also make it an autumn autumny vibe. So I think if the 12 is springtime, this one is springtime and autumn. A little bit more autumn because of the denser, but it only depends if you're comparing them or if you're just in spring and you just want a little bit of a denser character. I mean, if the 12 is springtime when it's just about to get dark, this is springtime when it's gotten dark, or just a little bit autumny. But it's nice to be able to see that character of the notes that I got on the 12 coming through, but these are just a little bit, it's a little bit more robust because it does have that sherry influence that you can taste, and then it also has a little bit more tannins and a little bit more of an oak flavour that makes it slightly drier and slightly spicier, I would say. Interesting. Let's compare it to the 18. Is that a fly? It is a fly. It's definitely banana fly season because you've probably seen them flying around, and I don't know where they're coming from. I think it's my plants that they like, but it might be the whiskey. I wonder if I can get him out. Unfortunately, I think it's too late to save him. But I can probably save my whiskey from tasting like a fly. Because I do think I prefer a whiskey without a fly in it. Let's have a look on the nose. This one's almost more like, it's almost like a malty, like a fizzy maltiness, almost a touch like beer. It's a little bit more like springtime kind of feels like quite light and airy. But if you take all of that and you kind of make it more compact, but still quite warming and sunny. So I guess this is your summer. It does have kind of an elegance to it, which I think you find sometimes in older drams, that it's almost the one that is the most difficult to pick out different aromas. The other ones I get more on the nose, but this one has like a thing, it's like a ball, and it's difficult to pick out different things, but it's just a very compact, summery ball of aromas that feel very elegant and lovely, but it's tricky to kind of pick things out. There's like a greenness there, so like green fruits. Definitely that kind of appley note again. Some oak. The floral note I think is toned down on the nose on this one. But it's slightly perfumed, I mean, if you're looking for it. Let's have a taste and see how, I'm guessing it'll come out more there. Oh, he came back alive. How lovely. Stay away from my whiskey. I think he's a little bit sleepy because he's not flying away, he's just climbing on my hand. Wonderful. This is not what I had in mind for this video. I was going to talk about whiskey. Can you please leave? I'll put you down on the table. Here you go. Flavour. So, back to the whiskey. Let's have a taste. This is definitely a little bit more elegant in a way that it's quite compact still. It's that compact little ball of summer. It is vegetal, but it's not vegetal in a youthful or bitter way. It's just vegetal in a way that's like a jungle or a summer garden mixing in with the fruitiness, and it's quite a green fruitiness. But a little bit of that mixture between apples and peaches probably. Yeah, quite an appley character throughout them all, I would say. And more oaky on the palate. it's, in a way, it almost feels like it has a little bit less character than the others, but I guess it only depends what you like. If you like a little bit more of a thing that is a little bit more vibrant and kind of things that kind of stick out a little bit, or if you prefer when all the flavors are kind of compact and in this little well-rounded ball. I think this is the one you get least of that floral notes, but it's more like a summer afternoon for me. Yeah, more apple pie probably. A little bit of a maltiness, but not overly. It's more almost like oaty than hay or barley. But I'm gonna try them again, starting with the 12 again, to kind of just see if they've changed anything and what I think. The 12 is definitely the one that is the most green fruits and kind of orchard fruits and just fruity and light. Very clean and crisp mouthfeel. Easygoing, a little bit of hay, a floral note. I think the maltiness on this one is presented really well, because usually when I get a malty note that reminds me of hay, sometimes it's too dry or too much, but I think the balance between the appley kind of crisp fruitiness and that malty note go really well together. If you want something that is youthful in a smooth way with fruitiness but also a little bit of that hay maltiness that just gives you a little bit of a more two-dimensional whiskey, probably. And the 16 again. There's a little sherry raisin notes on the nose, but they're not like punchy. They're just like, if someone just like drew a jar of raisins past your nose, you would get it, but it's not like you're just digging your face into the jar of raisins, if that makes sense. A little bit of a darker mouthfeel, not as fresh and crisp, but more clinging to your palate. Probably the one that is the most oaky. And if you want a little bit of a fruitiness but with a sherry influence, and the oakiness is almost dominant over the sherry, but if that's what you like, then keep an eye out for this one. And then we're going to try the 18 again, the one that was the kind of trickiest one to taste. I mean, it does have a lovely nose. It's just like this compact little fruity summer ball. Summer jungle ball. That makes it a little bit tricky. Also has some tannins on it, so the smoothest one is by far the 12. The oakiest one is the 16 and the most sherry influence on that one. But this one is the most jungly one, if that makes sense. It's like more mature fruits. If you've ever managed to try a younger whiskey next to an older one that is unpeated, you'd probably recognize some of the flavors you get in that comparison, because the older whiskey sometimes round out and everything just kind of comes together in a way, and then it depends, of course, if you like that or not. But I mean, if you like a little jungle ball of summer, then maybe keep an eye out for the 18. I would of course love to hear if you've tried any of the Deverons. I mean, I like visual things sometimes. I mean, I'm a big fan of flavour and that's of course my main focus. But I mean, I would almost get a Deveron bottle just because of the wonderful frosted green glass. I mean, I like a frosted glass. I think it's really cool. Octomore's another one that have those kind of whitish frosted bottles, which I think looks great. And yeah, of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts and if you have any other recommendations for me, perhaps. If I had to pick a favourite today, it'd probably be the 12. I think when I tried them last time with Georgie's tasting, I think I prefer the 18. But yeah, no, I just like the kind of aliveness of the 12 today. Which one's your favourite? Have you managed to try them all? And of course, if you like what I'm doing here on YouTube and my other social channels, I'd be absolutely over the moon if you consider using my affiliate links the next time you're shopping with either Master Malt, the Whisky Exchange, or the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. All that information is of course in the description here below, as well as links to my website, my Teespring shop, my Patreon, and my Instagram if you're curious about that. And of course, as always, a massive thank you to my wonderful supporters on Patreon. Your support means so much and I'm so grateful you want to continue to support me on my whisky journey. But I hope you've all had an absolutely wonderful day. Sláinte Skål.